Traitors of the Rebellion. This is internet personality Vangelus, and I've got a review copy on loan from ThreeA of ThreeA's Deluxe Blitzwing, as he appeared in the Bumblebee movie. Now, I've been told this is a 95% completed production copy, and I've detected nothing that seems to deafeningly be 5% of a pre-production copy, so rather than pass this over to the prototype playtime team, like last time, we'll be taking a calculated risk and handling things over here on the Vangelus review team. This is extremely important to point out because we smell better. By the way, there is some assembly involved when you first open Blitzwing's box, and it's all laid out in the instructions. 2 little butt wings, 2 big back wings, and a backpack for those aforementioned back wings, along with a couple missile pieces for the null ray blaster. The backpack is a butt to remove if you want to repackage this guy. Just act with care, act as you see, kind of pulling downwards. Hey, you know, I heard this really clever line where you walk up to a representative that has this figure on display on a show floor and you tell him, wow, what a nice Starscream. It's ridiculously funny and a completely original idea, and you're absolutely the first one to have ever said it. Being a licensed piece, ThreeA's Blavid Wingalov reaps a fantastically screen-accurate appearance, utterly dosed in sculpted detail, and ruthlessly slathered with paint and weathering. And much like the Deluxe Bumblebee, this does not feel like the usual 3A fare. The Deluxe series continues to tread much closer to a Gokin or Ryobot or Flame Toys figure, feeling dead solid and beefy weighty to the touch. The portrait is scowlingly intimidating, and you can amp that up with the addition of some, thank goodness, completely normal LR44 battery power. Press Blitzwing's forehead to press the actual button behind it, and this provides a downsized version of the blazing yet pinpoint small LED optic feature that I first saw in 3A's Premium Movie Optimus. It's also, just like that feature, incredibly hard for me to film, because even though I've had this camera for like 5 years, I guess I'm still figuring out precisely how to capture small points of targeted LED light with it. Don't worry though, I am a professional. Hand swaps are available, and they all happily pop on and off of some metal balls for their flexible plastic sockets. You've got fists, you've got open hands, and you've got really open hands. Also, you can swap in an Electron spike blade piece to replicate the violent and physical removal of a brave boy's throat. Once again, like with Deluxe Bumblebee's arm cannon piece, it's nice to get a closer look at this component outside of the film to see just how much it's actually a transformed Decepticon hand. Removing a forearm from its metal peg and replacing it with this big-ass null ray blaster, don't say it, gives Blitzwing some big, obvious ranged armament. The piece doesn't really do anything other than look intimidating, and is that even a critique? I don't know. Say it to his face if you think it is. Lest I forget, Blitzwing also includes a display stand, which is identical to the one included with DLX Bumblebee. There is a butt plug to remove, there is a piece of the stand that goes into the aforementionedly revealed butt chasm, and hey, it's a stand! It works. Ball socket neck joints are a right of all purchasers of high-end toys, and there are 2 right here, one at the top of the neck, one at the bottom of the neck. Emotion is available! And before we do other articulation things, I'll just show you how the winglets work. They can flap, they can turn on this axis, they can more or less get out of the way, or, you know, I guess lightly emote if you need them to. But let's get into these shoulders. Now, this whole hunk right here, the red bit, this can hinge up and down by itself if you need it to. The shoulder itself is on a forwards and backwards, outwards universal joint, and this shoulder piece can move separately. Also, there is a flap here you can open if you want. Basically, whatever you want the shoulder to do. Also, there is a dedicated butterfly joint. Whatever you want the shoulder to do, it'll do it. You want the shoulder to go outwards, you got options. Move this up, move the shoulder outwards, you did it. But hey, you want this to look more integrated, open this flap, move the shoulder outwards, bring this back down. Hey, look, now he's integrating with his shoulder armor pod flaps. Sky's the limit. Also, the bicep can swivel. Sky's the limit. The elbow is capable of a delightful amount of double hingery. Given the design of this robot, it's curling as much as I would expect. And then the wrists are on metal ball joints, which means that the PVC hand clips on over top, it can swivel around, and it gets a little bit of directional motion as well. I like these wrists a lot because it's just a ball socket joint. There's nothing complicated, yet the range is all there, and the hand feel is divine and squeaky. And before we talk about the torso, we gotta talk about ancillary torso motionary objects, that being these two things and this thing. Boink, they're all able to get out of the way of whatever it is you need to do, and that's not just the dedicated waist swivel. There are a couple torso joints here. These two things, well, these three things, can all move wherever you need them to, however you need them to. You kind of don't have to pay attention to them, because there is a insane torso joint up here at the top of this chunk of cockpit, but below this chunk of cockpit, that allows for some of this stuff and a little bit of side-to-side type stuff. There is another one down here. Now, you want to move these things up before you engage with this, but getting the shoulder out of the way, there's another one down here. And, like, look at this. This is a movie Blitzwing from the Bumblebee movie that can ab crunch like a mother, reveal all of this techie greeble down here, and it all just works. I love this. I like that all these little bits and pieces can just get out of the way if I need them to. If I want to kick legs up, then all the bits have gotten out of the way. If they are in the way, you know, it's pointed over this way, this will move up and get out of the way. It's delightful. Let me just put all that back down here. Don't want to leave the lad too exposed before I start doing the hip things. As you saw, the hip joint is very straightforward. It's just a big-ass thing what moves forward, and another big-ass thing what moves outward. Now, if you want to move outward, and this thing might bump into stuff, this whole panel here hinges out of the way, so as you can do whatever it is you need to. Now, if you have trouble hinging this thing, or it, say, pops off, it's just a little C-clip, just clips right back on, super solid. I like this design. There's also a thigh swivel, believe it or not. And the intense power of this double-jointed knee. So many things are happening, and this is not Sentinel. This is ThreeA doing this. This feels fantastic. I could just do this for a couple of days. But then I wouldn't be able to talk about feet. Now, this ankle can tilt. It can tilt forwards and backwards a bit as well. But then there's a whole extendable double hinge to allow it to tilt more, to move forwards and backwards more. It can swivel around. This is a collapsible, highly mobile ankle for a big, crazy robot foot. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, Chris, you colossal hedonist, we got you. There's no toe joint for you to show off, because this is all one solid piece. There's no moving bit in there. There is a lot of sculpted detail. There's no moving bit. Well, guess what? Guess what? Perverts. There is some toe action going on, because these two landing gear wheels not only are slightly rubberized in feel, they roll, they spin, alright? You can't stop me! Not when I got toe wheels to twiddle! Obviously, being much larger than Bumblebee means Deluxe Blitzwing comes in at a larger price point, just under $200 American, which isn't providing the eye-widening bang for your buck of the sub-$150 American Deluxe Bumblebee. But come on, surely you can see the reasons why. The $55 increase creates the first example of a larger piece in this new line, and I'm still way into this stuff. It's screen-accurate bots from my favorite live-action Transformers movie, rendered at a level of quality that walks among my personal action figure design titans, like the Chemical Attack team. It's licensed third-party Transformers, it's high-end Gokin robot action figures, and it's the most expensive David Sobolov toy on the market that has posable joints. I just added that in while I was saying it because I realized Prime Studios is probably doing some kind of $1,000 statue, but those aren't toys. What are the downsides of this figure, though? All that said, the nature of the design means there are a lot more sharp edges and jutting components. While the figure does a lot of work to allow you to move stuff out of the way, this doesn't deliver the I can literally pop this guy into my pocket reaction that Deluxe Bumblebee gave me within minute one. Deluxe Blitzwing will require some shelf space and will probably require a modicum of actual care and handling. But his internal moving parts still feel powerhouse solid, and my tactile confidence in the piece remains fairly high. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I hope you all enjoyed our shared time with this ruthless dude who, by all means, may well have a tank stuffed in there somewhere. I mean, it might be underneath all the bits you can see. Are you a Blitzwing biologist, by the way? Who wants to start taking bets on this piece getting some retool, redeco action as a billion seekers? Actually, for real, I think ThreeA could use some data on that. And hey, just so long as it happens after Shatter and Dropkick, and so long as Shatter and Dropkick happen, then we're all cool. cool like all of my patrons on Patreon and all my baristas on Coffee, and everyone who stays subscribed to me through all these ups and downs. If you want to join them, there are buttons you can push, and websites you can go to, and I'm sure you can find your way to all those if you really want to. And if you haven't, check out the prototype playtime of Deluxe Bumblebee. It's been long enough, the prototype playtime team's smell is mostly dissipated.